Iran,
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 in Iran.
Ladies and gentlemen, Iran is on fire and the world is watching. Decades of distrust have resulted into massive protests across Iran, including the capital city of Tehran, amid explosive talks of war. War resulting from military intervention by the United States, where Donald Trump has categorically said that Iran has crossed the red line and the United States is looking at options to intervene militarily. Let's analyze what's happening by looking at the history. What exactly triggered this? What's been happening across the last couple of years? Now, ever since 1979's Islamic Revolution toppled the US Shah, Iran and the United States have been locked in mutual hostility. In 1979, Iranian students seized the US embassy and held 52 Americans hostage for 444 days. The US cut ties and slapped Iran with sanctions as a result of this. Decades later, an uneasy detente emerged, the 2015 nuclear deal, only to collapse when President Donald Trump tore it up in 2008. He even ordered the drone strike that killed Iran's supreme leader of the elite Quds force. He was the commander, Qasem Soleimani, in 2020. Meanwhile, Iranian anger boiled over at home too, from the disputed 2009 election protests to fuel right uprisings, and especially the 2022-23 Women Life Freedom Movement. This was after Mahsa Amini's death. The regime has faced wave after wave of dissent. However, every time, the hardline clerical rulers crack down. But this history of revolution, sanctions, and resistance sets the stage for today's crisis. Let's look at the timeline, December 2025 to the current month, which is Jan 2026. Now, on December 28th, 2025, merchants at Tehran's Grand Bazaar shut their shops. This was because the Iranian rial collapsed. Now, that triggered nationwide protests. By early Jan, unrest engulfed cities right from Tehran to Mashhad. Security forces naturally responded with force. By 9th of January, dozens of protesters were dead. The regime even admitted that even 100 security personnel were killed in the clash. The government even shut down the internet to silence outrage. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei denounced demonstrators as vandals and saboteurs working for foreign agendas. He accused them of running their own streets to please the president of another country, naturally referring to either Donald Trump of the US, most likely, a direct jab at him, basically. In short, Tehran believes that foreign hands are behind the unrest, even as protesters chant slogans showing deep domestic anger. Let's look at Trump's hawkish rhetoric. Now, in Washington, Donald Trump seized that moment. Between Jan 9 and 11, Trump declared that Iran's leadership was scared, warning that things were getting very bad for them. Then came the line that shook the world. Better not start shooting because we'll start shooting too. This is explicit war language by Donald Trump. Aboard Air Force One, Trump confirmed that the military is looking at very strong options and the US may have to act. In simple terms, military action is on the table. Behind the scenes, options include cyber strikes, information warfare, sanctions, and even missile or bomb strikes. But officials privately warn that a heavy attack could backfire, potentially uniting Iranians around the entire regime. Even in the US, in fact, opinion is split. Hawks want action, others warn of another Middle East quagmire, and Europe parallelly urges restraint, fearing escalation. Now, here's a glimpse into war. If there was an attack, what would a US attack look like? Now, let's be clear, there will be no ground invasion. This would be a high-tech precision warfare. Stealth bombers, cruise missiles, bunker buster bombs. Targets would likely include nuclear facilities, like US has attacked in the past, missile bases, and probably Revolutionary Guard headquarters. The goal would be to cripple Iran's capabilities quickly, not to specifically occupy territory. Jets and drones could fire standoff missiles, even from outside of Iranian airspace, given the US technological advancement. Iran would respond with air defenses, but American stealth and jamming would easily overwhelm them. Now, here's where the danger is. Iran will also hit back. Iran, unlike Venezuela, will not take this lying down. Iran does not absorb punches quietly, as we've seen in the past. We've seen in the past as well when US has had attacks on Iran, even in case of Israel, when Israel has attacked Iran, Iran has responded. Retaliation could include ballistic missiles on US bases, which Iran possesses. Attacks on Israel, very likely and possible because Iran has done that in the past. And proxy strikes by Hezbollah, one of the main important factors here. Even Houthis and militias across the entire Middle East region. Then comes the most dangerous threat, the Strait of Hormuz. Now, oil tankers could be targeted, shipping could freeze, energy markets would panic. There's already unrest, which has already pushed oil prices up, with millions of barrels potentially at risk. A US strike would see the further send these oil prices rocketing. Now, let's talk of India. As Indians, what is the impact on India, and how does it? Why should it matter to us? Now, it's not distant geopolitics. This hits India very directly. India imports around 85% of its oil, much of it passing through the Strait of Hormuz. Any disruption here means petrol prices will go up further, which means inflation will go up and there will be economic pressure. India once bought large volumes of Iranian oil before sanctions forced a halt to this. But our energy security still depends heavily on the Gulf region. Strategically, India has invested in Chabahar port, which all of us know, a gateway to Afghanistan and Central Asia, bypassing Pakistan. A war could put that at risk as well and end US waivers. India's long discussed Iran-Pakistan gas pipeline would also be dead for good. Diplomatically, India is walking a very tightrope. The US is a strategic partner on one hand, Iran is a regional necessity. Officially, New Delhi will urge restraint. Privately, honestly, it's a nightmare scenario for New Delhi. To sum it up, what are we looking at? The streets of Iran are burning. The White House is talking of firepower of attacking. The coming days are absolutely critical. A US strike on Iran would reshape the Middle East. It would destabilize global oil markets. It would hit India's economy decently hard. The big question, however, remains, who will blink? Who will escalate? And will the world pay the price? Stay alert and let's keep following this, because what happens in Iran, unfortunately, does not stay in Iran. Thanks.